The alien fleet appeared suddenly at the edge of Earth's solar system. 12 massive ships, each nearly a mile long, materialized in the darkness beyond Neptune. Their hulls shimmered with an iridescent blue-green metal unknown to human science. The vessels drifted aimlessly, their normally graceful lines now damaged and scorched. Commander Olivia Grant stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Horizon, watching the main screen with a mixture of awe and caution. At 43, she had spent most of her adult life in space, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "Sensor report," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension. Lieutenant Frank Wilson nodded at his console, confirming 12 vessels of unknown design. No active weapon signatures, but they're putting out massive energy readings. Something's wrong with their propulsion systems. They're leaking radiation. Life signs. Yes, Commander. Thousands of them, but the readings are unusual. Not human. Grant took a deep breath. Humanity had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. Communications, send the first contact package on all frequencies. The bridge fell silent as the message transmitted. Earth had prepared for this possibility for decades. A simple mathematical sequence followed by basic greetings in multiple languages. Minutes passed. The alien ships continued to drift. "No response, Commander," said Communications Officer Judy Harris. Grant frowned. "Move us closer, 1/4 thrust. Maintain defensive posture." The Horizon glided forward, its engines pulsing with soft blue light. As they approached the alien fleet, the damage became more apparent. The largest vessel had a massive rupture along its side, and wisps of gas escaped into space. "Commander," Wilson called out, "I'm detecting a signal. Very weak, but it's definitely responding to our transmission." On screen. The view screen flickered, then resolved into an image that made several crew members gasp. The alien was slender with 4 arms and pale, almost translucent skin. Its large eyes were solid black, set in a face that tapered to a small mouth. Behind it, others of its kind moved frantically around what appeared to be a control room filled with smoke. The alien spoke, its voice translated by the ship's computer into a flat, mechanical English. "This is Fleet Commander Zixtera of the Valkyrian Expeditionary Force. We request assistance. Our dimensional drives failed during emergency jump. Life support systems critical. Many already dead." Grant stepped forward. "I am Commander Olivia Grant of the United Earth Space Command. We are prepared to offer assistance." The alien's eyes blinked slowly. "Your species is unknown to us. Why would you help?" "Because you need it," Grant replied simply. A long silence followed. The alien commander appeared to consult with others off-screen. When Zixtera returned, there was a new wariness in those black eyes. "We have encountered many species, Commander Grant. Few offer help without seeking advantage. What do you want in return?" Grant considered her words carefully. "We ask only for peaceful contact. Humanity has long wondered if we were alone among the stars." "You are very young then," Zixtera said. "We accept your assistance, though we have little choice. Be warned, our technology must not be taken. It is sacred to us. We understand and will respect your boundaries," Grant assured them. "I'm sending coordinates for a rendezvous point. We'll begin rescue operations immediately." As the transmission ended, the bridge erupted into activity. Grant turned to her first officer. "Contact Earth. Tell them we've made first contact and request all available ships for rescue operations." "And Paul?" "Yes, Commander. Tell them to hurry. We're about to save an alien civilization." The Horizon moved closer to the damaged fleet, its lights illuminating the alien vessels against the blackness of space. Humanity's first contact had begun not with an invasion or a diplomatic mission, but with a rescue. Noah Peterson stood inside the massive alien vessel, his eyes wide with wonder. The walls pulsed with faint blue light that seemed to follow the rhythm of a heartbeat. This wasn't just a ship, it was partly alive. "I've never seen anything like this," he whispered to Dr. Elaine Murphy, who was carefully examining a translucent container holding what appeared to be a sleeping alien child. "Their biology is remarkable," she replied, her medical scanner humming softly. "They're silicon-based rather than carbon, and extremely vulnerable to temperature changes." 3 days had passed since the Horizon made contact with the stranded Valkyrian fleet. Earth had dispatched 7 additional vessels carrying engineers, medical personnel, and supplies. Captain Daniel Wright of the support vessel Endeavour was coordinating the rescue effort from a makeshift command center aboard the main Valkyrian ship. Wright ran a hand through his gray hair as he studied the holographic display showing the status of all 12 alien vessels. Most glowed an ominous red. "If we don't stabilize their life support systems within 2 weeks, we'll lose half their population," he said grimly. Zix Terra, the Valkyrian commander, moved with deliberate grace on 4 slender limbs. "Our situation is worse than initially reported," the alien admitted. "Our species cannot survive prolonged exposure to your solar radiation. Our shields are failing." Noah had been examining the alien propulsion system, a complex arrangement of crystalline structures that somehow channeled energy from another dimension. He looked up from his work. "Captain, we can't fix these drives. They're completely beyond our technology. Even their materials are something we've never encountered." "So what options do we have?" Wright asked. Noah hesitated. "We need to tow them somewhere safer, where proper repairs can happen. Somewhere with facilities." "You mean Earth orbit," Wright realized. "Exactly." A murmur went through the Valkyrian officers present. Zix Terra's skin changed color slightly, shifting to a deeper blue. "Our vessels contain technology sacred to our people," the alien said. "Knowledge that has led to the destruction of other worlds when misused. We cannot risk it falling into new hands." Dr. Murphy stepped forward. "Commander Zix Terra, I've completed my assessment of your people's condition. Without proper medical facilities, approximately 68% of your population will die within 3 weeks." The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. "So many?" "I'm afraid so. Your life support systems are failing faster than we can repair them here." Captain Wright addressed the Valkyrian commander directly. "We understand your concerns about your technology. We can establish a treaty right now, a binding agreement that we will not attempt to study or reverse engineer any systems you designate as restricted." "Words," Zix Terra said. "Only words. We could have attempted to board your vessels by force when we found them defenseless," Wright pointed out. "Instead, we offered help. Judge us by our actions." A tense silence filled the room. Finally, another Valkyrian, older and wearing elaborate metal adornments, spoke in their musical language. Zix Terra listened, then turned back to the humans. "Our elder believes we have no choice but to trust you. We accept your proposal." Noah let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Back on Earth, the news of bringing alien vessels into orbit created both excitement and fear. Emergency meetings of the United Nations Security Council debated the risks. Military forces went on high alert. "Are we making a mistake?" asked General Sharon Carter during a video conference with Captain Wright. "These beings pose no threat in their current state," Wright replied. "And if we let them die when we could have saved them, what does that say about humanity?" The general nodded slowly. "Very well. Plan the transport operation. But Wright, those ships stay in high orbit until we're certain of their intentions." As the call ended, Wright gazed out at the damaged alien fleet. Humanity's first real contact with alien life, and it would either be their greatest achievement or their worst mistake. Adam Foster checked the massive fusion tethers, linking his tug ship to the Valkyrian vessel for the 5th time in an hour. The energy cables glowed with a soft blue light, transferring power to the alien craft's failing systems, while also serving as the physical connection for towing. "Easy does it," he muttered, though only he could hear his words in the cockpit of the space tug Hercules, "like pulling a fragile egg through molasses." Adam was one of 12 veteran pilots chosen to lead the unprecedented mission, towing the stranded alien fleet to Earth orbit. The journey would take 40 days if everything went perfectly. Nothing ever went perfectly in space. Behind his tug, the Valkyrian ship Eternal Harmony dwarfed his vessel, its damaged hull gleaming in the distant sunlight. Inside were over 3,000 Valkyrian civilians and crew, their lives depending on his steady hand at the controls. "Tug Squadron, this is Control," came Samantha Reed's calm voice over the comm. "Beginning synchronized acceleration in 3, 2, 1, engage." Adam eased his throttle forward by millimeters. The tethers tightened almost imperceptibly as the massive engines of the Hercules pushed against the void. All around him, 11 other tugs did the same, their formation creating a web of support for the damaged alien vessels. The fleet began to move, so slowly it was almost impossible to perceive without instruments. "Looking good, Tug Squadron," Reed confirmed from the command ship. "Acceleration within parameters." 5 days into the journey, as the unlikely convoy passed the orbit of Uranus, the real work began. Engineers and scientists from Earth worked alongside Valkyrian specialists in temporary pressurized walkways connecting the vessels. Despite language barriers and profound biological differences, a tentative cooperation emerged. On the 8th day, Adam was invited aboard the Valkyrian ship he was towing. The alien environment left him breathless. Corridors that seemed to breathe, lighting that responded to emotions, and the strange musical language of the Valkyrians themselves. His guide was a Valkyrian named Kellner, a specialist in interspecies relations. Though the translator device rendered Kellner's speech in flat tones, Adam sensed enthusiasm in the alien's gestures. "Our people believed we were doomed when the drives failed," Kellner told him as they observed technicians working to stabilize a critical system. "The Draenei had nearly caught us, and then the dimensional fold collapsed." "The Draenei?" Adam asked. "The reason we fled," Kellner explained, four-fingered hands moving expressively. "They seek to absorb all advanced species into their collective. Those who refuse face extinction." Adam digested this troubling information as they continued their tour. On the 23rd day of the journey, disaster nearly struck. A massive solar flare erupted without warning, sending deadly radiation toward the vulnerable fleet. Samantha Reed, navigation officer on the command vessel, detected the danger seconds before automatic alerts triggered. Her hands flew across the control panels, calculating a new trajectory. "All tugs, emergency maneuver," she shouted into the comm. "Execute pattern Omega-3 immediately." The tug pilots responded instantly, their years of training paying off. Adam rolled his ship while maintaining tension on the tethers, creating a new vector that would position Earth itself as a shield for the most vulnerable alien vessels. 2 Valkyrian ships nearly broke free during the maneuver, their tethers stretching to breaking point. Samantha personally took remote control of the nearest tugs, adjusting their thrust patterns microscopically until the danger passed. When the radiation wave had passed, leaving the fleet unharmed, the Valkyrian High Elder requested a direct communication channel to all human vessels. "We have observed many species across many stars," the Elder's translated voice declared. "Few show such quick thinking in crisis. Fewer still would risk themselves for strangers. Perhaps humans are more than their simple technology suggests." As the journey continued, barriers began to fall. Valkyrians shared stories of their 1,000-year history, their arts and sciences. Humans offered their music, their literature, their tenacious spirit. By the time the blue marble of Earth appeared as more than a bright star, something unexpected had formed between the species: respect. Lucas Chen heard the alarm before anyone else. His trained ear caught the subtle change in pitch from the Valkyrian vessel's power core, a rising whine that shouldn't be there. He was halfway to the engine room before the official alert sounded. "Everyone out," he shouted, waving at the mixed team of human and Valkyrian engineers. Core destabilization. They had just entered Mars orbit, 36 days into their journey. The massive Valkyrian flagship, Radiant Dawn, shuddered as something deep within its systems failed catastrophically. "What's happening?" demanded Captain Wright over the emergency channel. "Containment failure in the primary power matrix," Lucas responded, his breath coming in gasps as he ran through the living corridors of the alien vessel. "If it cascades, we'll lose the whole ship, maybe more." The ship's emergency lighting pulsed an angry red. Valkyrian crew members moved with surprising speed on their four limbs, evacuating the endangered sections. Lucas reached the sealed door of the core chamber and found Vento, the Valkyrian chief technician, already there. "The coolant seals have ruptured," Vento said, its translator struggling with the complex technical terms. "Dimensional energy is leaking into normal space." Lucas stared at the door. "We need to get in there." "Radiation levels are beyond safe limits for either of our species," Vento warned. "If that core goes, it takes half the fleet with it," Lucas replied. "We've got EVA suits. That'll give us a few minutes." Outside the massive vessel, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The tug ships struggled to maintain formation as the flagship began to emit pulses of exotic energy. On the command ship, Samantha Reed watched in horror as her instruments showed the growing instability. "We need to detach the tugs," someone suggested. "No," she replied firmly. "If we release now, the Valkyrian ships will drift into each other. It would be a massacre." Inside the core chamber, Lucas and Vento worked frantically in their protective suits. The alien technology was unlike anything Lucas had ever seen. Crystal matrices channeling energy that seemed to phase in and out of normal reality. "We need to vent the plasma buildup," Vento explained, its slender fingers moving across control surfaces Lucas couldn't even see. "But the emergency systems are offline." Lucas examined the massive conduits running along the chamber walls. "Can we manually open the external vents?" "Yes, but they must be held open physically. The fail-safes will try to close them." "Show me where." Vento pointed to a maintenance tunnel leading to the outer hull. "Through there. But the radiation will kill me a bit slower than an explosion would," Lucas finished grimly. "Keep working on the containment field." In the maintenance tunnel, Lucas found the manual override for the external vents. As he began to force the heavy mechanism open, his radiation warning alarm screamed in his helmet. He ignored it. Officer Gregory Martinez had been monitoring the situation from an adjacent section. When he saw what Lucas was attempting, he made a split-second decision. Grabbing an emergency suit, he rushed into the tunnel. "Lucas, the fail-safes on the secondary vents are activating. Both need to be held open simultaneously." Lucas looked up, his face pale through his visor. "Greg, get out of here." "No time to argue," Martins replied, already moving to the second vent control. "On 3. Together, they forced the mechanisms open. Deadly plasma began to vent into space, relieving the pressure on the failing core. But as predicted, the automated systems fought to close the vents. "They're too strong," Lucas shouted, his muscles straining. Martins made his decision. "I can lock mine permanently, but I'll need to remove the safety interlocks. That means staying with it." "Greg, no. Tell my kids I did something that mattered," Martins said calmly. He removed his gloves despite the dangerous radiation and began rewiring the mechanism. The vents stayed open. The plasma vented safely into space. The cascade failure was prevented. But Officer Gregory Martinez never left that tunnel. When it was over, the Valkyrian High Elder came to view Martinez's body. In a ceremony that left no human eye dry, they declared him Kirva Nost, "On who joins the stars." "We did not believe," Zixtera said softly, "that younger species could understand true sacrifice." The Earth grew from a blue dot to a magnificent sphere as the fleet approached its final destination. After 42 days of careful navigation, the 12 Valkyrian ships and their human escorts prepared to enter orbit. Director Helen Jackson stood in the United Nations Space Command's Mission Control Center in Geneva, watching the massive view screens with a mixture of pride and anxiety. At 56, she had spent her entire career preparing humanity for this moment. First contact with an advanced alien civilization. All ships reporting ready for orbital insertion, her assistant reported. Jackson nodded. Begin the sequence. Across Earth, billions watched the live streams as the alien vessels, each one nearly a mile long, slipped into high orbit. Their damaged hulls gleamed in the sunlight, strange and beautiful against the familiar blue of Earth. The reactions below varied wildly. In major cities, crowds gathered in celebration, waving handmade signs welcoming the visitors. Religious groups held prayer services, some joyful, some fearful. Military bases worldwide remained on high alert, missiles tracking the new arrivals despite diplomatic assurances. Remarkable how quickly humans adapt, observed Zixterra to Captain Wright as they observed Earth from the Valkyrian flagship's viewport. Only weeks ago, your people had never met another intelligent species. Some adapt faster than others, Wright replied cautiously. There are those who see your arrival as a threat. As there should be, the alien commander said. Caution breeds survival. Within days, the orbital repair operation was well underway. 7 massive space stations were hastily repositioned to support the effort, while supply rockets launched daily from Earth. The International Space Agency converted the unfinished Artemis lunar base into a coordination center for the enormous project. Helen Jackson personally led the first international repair team aboard the Valkyrian vessels. Under her direction, engineers from 27 nations worked alongside Valkyrian technicians to restore the damaged ships. Their material science is centuries beyond ours, she told the UN Security Council during her daily briefing. They use crystalline alloys that self-repair and composites that can alter their properties on command. And have they shared any of this technology? Asked the Russian representative. Jackson shook her head. They remain protective of their advanced systems, as agreed, but they've been surprisingly open about their basic materials science. Indeed, the Valkyrians have begun teaching human engineers about new manufacturing techniques that would revolutionize spacecraft construction. Already, the orbital shipyards were implementing Valkyrian methods to create hull plates that were lighter and stronger than anything previously possible. Not everyone welcomed this exchange. In a remote facility in the Nevada desert, a group calling themselves Earth First had gathered to plan their response to the alien arrival. They're softening us up, insisted their leader, a former military officer named Victor Reed. First, they get us to help them, then they take over. Classic invasion strategy. His followers nodded in agreement. Their plan was already in motion. 3 of their members had secured positions on the supply shuttles heading to orbit. They were unaware that their communications had been intercepted by a joint human-Valkyrian security team. Chief Security Officer Kate Miller had been working closely with Zonta, a Valkyrian security specialist, to monitor threats to the repair operation. They're planning to place explosive devices inside the main Valkyrian life support hub, Kate reported to Helen Jackson. If they succeed, thousands of Valkyrians will die. The saboteurs made their move during the night shift change. Disguised as maintenance workers, they boarded the primary Valkyrian vessel with their deadly cargo hidden in equipment cases. They might have succeeded, if not for the unique Valkyrian security measures. The ship itself detected their hostile intent. The living corridors constricted around them, trapping the saboteurs until security forces arrived. In the aftermath, Zixterra made a surprising request. The humans should decide the fate of the captured terrorists. They are your people, the Valkyrian commander explained. How you handle those who reject peaceful contact will show us much about your civilization. The decision weighed heavily on the United Nations Emergency Council. In the end, they chose justice over vengeance, opting for a public trial rather than summary punishment. The Valkyrian sensor technician burst onto the bridge of the flagship without warning, breaking several protocols of their normally strict hierarchy. The four-limbed alien skin had paled to an alarming woodish blue. "High Sensor Officer, what is the meaning of this interruption?" Zix Terra demanded. "Commander, long-range sensors have detected Draenor quantum signatures at the edge of this solar system," the technician reported, voice trembling through the translator. "Scout vessels, 3 of them." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Even the human representatives present could feel the wave of fear that passed through the Valkyrian crew. Admiral Benjamin Cole, the newly appointed human liaison to the Valkyrian fleet, stepped forward. At 62, his weathered face showed the experience of a lifetime in space. "I take it these are the enemies you mentioned during our journey?" he asked quietly. Zix Terra's large eyes blinked slowly. "Yes, the Draenor Collective. They consume civilizations, not just territory or resources. They absorb entire species into their collective consciousness. And those who refuse are eliminated completely." The alien commander turned to face the human admiral directly. "We must tell you the full truth now. Our dimensional drive failure was not an accident. We were fleeing a Draenor purge fleet when we attempted an emergency jump beyond their territory. The drive collapse stranded us here." Cole processed this information with remarkable calm. "So these scout ships mean they have tracked us. A battle fleet will follow." Within hours, an emergency meeting convened in the orbital command station. Representatives from Earth's major powers sat across from the Valkyrian High Council. The atmosphere was tense as Admiral Cole presented the situation. "The Valkyrians believe we have less than 2 weeks before the main Draenor force arrives. Their technology apparently exceeds even Valkyrian capabilities. Can we negotiate with them?" asked the Chinese ambassador. The Valkyrian elder shook his head, an adopted human gesture. "The Draenor do not negotiate. They assimilate or destroy. It is their only purpose." "How many ships in their battle fleet?" asked the American general. "Based on sensor readings, approximately 30 capital ships and supporting vessels," replied Zix Terra, "each one capable of reducing your cities to ash from orbit." A murmur of dismay spread through the human delegation. "Our own defenses are insufficient," Cole stated bluntly. "Earth's combined orbital weapons platforms were designed to deter other humans, not repel an advanced alien invasion." "We will depart immediately," Zix Terra offered. "Draw them away from your world. You saved us when we needed help. We will not bring destruction upon you." Admiral Cole looked to his fellow humans, then back to the aliens. "No, that's not how we do things." "Admiral, with respect," began a European defense minister. "These people came to us in need," Cole interrupted. "We helped them, formed bonds with them. We don't abandon allies because the fight looks tough." "But we cannot win," Zix Terra insisted. A thoughtful expression crossed Cole's face. "Maybe we can't win conventionally, but there might be another way." Over the next 3 days, a desperate plan took shape. Human military engineers worked alongside Valkyrian technicians to modify Earth's defensive missile systems. While primitive compared to Valkyrian weapons, Earth's nuclear arsenal was substantial. "Your shielding technology is the key," explained Cole to the Valkyrian scientists. "We can't match their ships for power, but we might be able to surprise them." The Valkyrians shared their shield harmonics technology, something they had initially declared off-limits. Under the guidance of Valkyrian engineers, humans retrofitted their nuclear missiles with phase-shifting capabilities that could penetrate Draenor defenses. Meanwhile, Admiral Cole mobilized Earth's military spacecraft. Though designed primarily for near-Earth operations, the fleet of 300 armed vessels might provide crucial support. "We should evacuate your leadership to the bunkers," Zix Terra suggested as they reviewed the plans. Cole shook his head. "I'll direct our forces from orbit, alongside you. My place is with my fleet." The Valkyrian commander studied the human with newfound respect. "Your people continue to surprise us, Admiral. Most species would have demanded we leave at the first sign of danger." "Most species haven't had our history," Cole replied. Humans have a saying, "The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing." We've learned that lesson the hard way. As Earth prepared for its first interstellar conflict, the modified long-range sensors detected what everyone had feared, a massive energy signature heading toward the solar system. The Draenor invasion fleet had arrived early. The Draenor fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, 32 massive ships arranged in perfect geometric formation. Their vessels resembled dark metallic diamonds, absorbing rather than reflecting light. No visible weapons protruded from their hulls, but energy readings indicated immense power concentrations throughout each ship. On the bridge of the human flagship Guardian, Admiral Cole watched the tactical display with grim determination. Beside him, Zix Terra studied the approaching enemy with ancient hatred. "They are hailing all frequencies," reported Communications Officer Lisa Jordan. Cole nodded. "Put them through." The main screen flickered, revealing the Draenor commander. Unlike the delicate Valkyrians, the Draenor appeared almost mechanical, gray skin meshed with technology, multiple eyes augmented with artificial lenses, a voice that seemed to emanate from everywhere at once. "Valkyrian refugees," the Draenor stated without greeting. "Your assimilation is inevitable. Surrender your vessels and prepare for integration into the collective." Cole stepped forward. "This is Admiral Benjamin Cole of Earth. The Valkyrians are under our protection." The Draenor commander's augmented eyes focused on the human with cold calculation. "Unknown species. Primitive technology. Your interference is illogical and unnecessary. Stand aside or face elimination." "We will not abandon our allies," Cole replied firmly. "Allies?" The Draenor seemed momentarily confused. "You have known these beings for mere weeks. They are not your kind. They offer you nothing but destruction." "They offered us friendship," Cole answered. "That's enough." The communication ended abruptly. The Draenor fleet began to advance toward Earth. "All vessels, take formation Alpha," Cole ordered. "Execute defensive plan as briefed." What followed surprised even the Valkyrians. Instead of arranging their ships in traditional defensive positions, the human vessels scattered in seemingly random patterns, with Valkyrian ships interspersed among them. Standard military doctrine called for concentrated firepower. This chaotic arrangement made no tactical sense. The Draenor attack began with precision. Energy beams lanced toward the defenders, but the scattered formation meant most shots found empty space. The human vessels responded with unconventional maneuvers, random course changes, false retreats, feigned malfunctions. "What are they doing?" Zix Terra asked, watching human captains ignore basic tactical principles. Cole smiled slightly. "Being unpredictable. It's what we do best." The modified Earth missiles launched in staggered waves. Most were destroyed by Draenor defenses, but enough penetrated their shields, thanks to Valkyrian technology, to damage several enemy vessels. The battle raged for hours. Human ships took heavy losses, but continued fighting with remarkable tenacity. Earth's orbital defense platforms added their firepower, their targeting guided by Valkyrian sensor technology. On the Draenor command ship, confusion reigned. Their tactical computers struggled to predict human movements that followed no logical pattern. When they adapted to one strategy, the humans would shift to something entirely different. "These primitives fight like no species we have encountered," the Draenor commander observed. "They sacrifice logical advantage for chaos." The turning point came when a small group of human fighters executed what would later be called the Mercury Gambit. Pretending to retreat, they drew 3 Draenor vessels into the path of Earth's hidden antimatter mines, destroying one ship outright and crippling 2 others. The Draenor commander made an unprecedented decision. The remaining fleet pulled back to regroup, something they had never needed to do against a technologically inferior species. "They are withdrawing," Zix Terra announced, disbelief in their voice. "Not retreating," Cole cautioned. "Reassessing. But we've bought time." In the aftermath, as damage reports flowed in, The Valkyrian High Elder requested an emergency council with Earth's leadership. What they proposed shocked everyone. "We wish to formalize an alliance with humanity," the Elder announced. "Not temporary, but permanent. Our knowledge, combined with your unpredictability, creates something neither of us could achieve alone." 2 days later, as the repaired Valkyrian fleet prepared to depart with promises to return with diplomatic representatives and reinforcements, Zixterra found Admiral Cole watching from an observation deck. "You knew we couldn't win that battle," the Valkyrian said. Cole nodded. "But we could survive it. Sometimes that's enough." "Your species is very young in galactic terms," Zixterra observed. "Most young species would not risk extinction for strangers."